Hey, I go by VLauren on social media, but you can call me Victoria, and welcome to another special episode of Witness to Glory. So on New Year's Eve, I photographed two church services, which is something that I haven't done in a really long time. So that means I have my work cut out for me. So I thought it would be cool to personally challenge myself and try to edit all of these photos in one sitting, as well as give you the benefit of showing you my editing process. So first things first, I import all of my photos from my SD card into Lightroom. And there are several ways that you can do that. But in this case, I am not going to add photos directly into Lightroom. Rather, I'm going to drag the images from my SD card into Lightroom. The reason why I'm taking this route is because I have 3 SD cards that I use for documenting both of these services. And, I have not cleared all of those SD cards. It's easy for me to go through the images on my SD card by the dates for each set of the images and drag the images from the appropriate dates, which will be December 31st, 2025, and import them into Lightroom. Also, part of the reason why I have to do this is because my SD cards are not properly formatted, and I pretty much have all of my photos from different sessions and different dates all in one folder because I did not initially format my SD cards. I feel like that's something like real professionals do, format their SD cards, but not me. Okay, learn from my mistakes. So with all of the photos imported, I have 2,304 photos. Now, I'm really curious. I'm gonna look this up. How fast does it take to edit 2,300 photos? For experienced or professional photographers, nope, that's not it. Let me just say event photos, specify. So culling the initial 2,300 images down to a final deliverable gallery is often the most time-consuming part of the process. We'll see about that. This is so not true. One experienced photographer mentioned being able to cull and apply basic edits to 2,000 and 3,000 photos in about 30 to 40 minutes. I would love to see those photos. But I'm a church photographer, and we know that's not how that works. Let me see, I got a different estimate. So like for basic editing, meaning applying minor cropping, exposure, and color corrections, takes around 4 to 6 hours. So let's see if that's true. So I'm going to start the culling process at 1:15. All right, so if you're unfamiliar with the term culling, it's the process of going through your images and selecting the best to edit, ultimately to deliver. Probably seen as like the bane of most photographers' existence. And the reason why we have to cull, you have to cull through your images, is because we usually capture the same moment multiple times, especially if we want to make sure that we actually captured it, right? Also, some of us, we pray and spray. So when we're taking photos, we end up with getting a lot of these unusable images only just to get the one shot. It's easier, in my opinion, to photograph the congregation during praise and worship because their facial expressions aren't as expressive, right? They're usually going along with the lyrics on the screen, or if they know it, then they sing it out. And it's easier for me to photograph them because I can get those shots within a few seconds. And since I'm photographing people in a crowd, it's easy for me to pick out photographable subjects, I guess you can say. But when it comes to photographing a preacher, a praise and worship leader, I get a lot of unusable shots in those moments because I'm usually photographing them like mid-sentence, and their facial expression, isn't the most flattering at the time where I snap. So I also talked about this in my last special of Witness to Glory, which is my process for culling. So all I'm doing is just rejecting, just going through and pressing X. So when I'm done going through all of the photos, I can just search up the rejected images in this album and just delete all of them. So I want to do a time check. Right now it's 2:15 and I am at the 1 hour mark. My goal is to keep all of the images I deem flattering. Also, I'm doing this process without AI. I've never used AI to cull. The only time I use AI as a photographer is when I'm using like generative fill to remove distracting elements in my photos or fix or tweak certain things. I guess one of my reasons for not using it is that I like to go through all of my photos because I know what I captured. The AI software doesn't, right? And there are images that the software could perceive as unusable photos, or as an unusable photo, but it could be a photo that I intentionally took, or it could be a photo that I see potential use in. So that's why I don't use AI tools to cull through. So we're at 2:55 and I am done culling. So that is 1 hour and 40 minutes. Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah, 1 hour and 40 minutes. So under 2 hours to manually cull through 2,304 photos. So that's not too bad. So when I use this method of rejecting images, I typically I go to the search bar in the album and press a little X there, and it filters all of my rejected images, and I select all of them and delete them. So that's what I'm doing in this process. But the next step in my process, which is something that I don't typically or normally do, in this case, I'm editing a set of images from 2 services, which means that I have a lot more photos. So with these images, it's easier for me to split these up by lighting so that I can apply the same preset on all of the photos that have the same type of lighting. So the way I'm going to split up these images is by putting the photos taken on the pulpit that has the stage lighting and adding it to a separate album we're going to call Edit. And so this current album, which is like my NYE New Year's Eve, album, currently has no edited images. So while I'm editing the stage light photos in the edit album, they'll be synced to the NYE album. I like to edit in the dark, but for this, I can't really edit fully in the dark because then you can't see me. Because I'm actively talking to you while editing, I don't be sitting here totally in the dark, right? So one thing I like to do is close like the curtains, the shades, blinds, whatever, while I edit, because there is a glare that comes from the sunlight onto my computers. So I try my best to get rid of that.
Seems unbreakable.
now that I've finished editing the stage photos, I'm going to search for any unedited images in this album and delete them, which will delete them from the main NYE album. So now I'm going to go back to the main album and check the edited photos and see all the stage photos are there. So doing a little time check, the time is 4:30. So that took me about an hour and 30 minutes to go through. Now I'm going to remove all of the stage photos from the edit album and replace them with the crowd photos. It's 4:30. I'm just gonna start with the crowd, editing the crowd shots. So as I'm editing, I also unintentionally do a second culling of the photos. So there's going to be a reduction in the number of photos that I initially had after culling. It is 5:35 and I'm done with the crowd shots. So I'm going to remove them from the temporary edit album and check the NYE album. I'm going to do a search for any unedited photos in the album and delete them. So I make sure that there isn't any unedited images and all of the remaining photos are edited. How are you looking? So that took me around 4 hours and 20 minutes to do. I went from 2,304 photos to 284. And so just out of curiosity, I Googled how many good photos can you get from taking 2,300 photos? Let's see. For experienced or professional photographers, the rate can range from 8 to 12% or sometimes higher for controlled environments like studio portraits or landscapes. This will result in approximately 184 to 276 good photos. Okay. Let me put in it for event photos. Okay, 10%, 230 photos, a common professional standard for good usable images. Okay. They say for experienced or professional photographers, the rate can range from 8 to 12%. I kept around 12% of photos. Is that good or bad? I have no idea. But here are some of my favorites. Let me know what you think about my process. I would say that this is not meant to be an instructive episode in that I'm telling you this is what you should do, but this is just a look at, like, an in-depth look at my process. It could be better and more refined, but this is what I have because you know what? It's New Year's Day. Okay. Feel free to share your approach in the comments. How fast have you edited around like 2,000 photos? How was it like documenting your church's New Year's Eve services, or what some churches call watch night? Let me know, share in the comments. As we embark on a new year, may the Lord bless and keep us witnesses to glory.